Welcome to the channel where I review and give away products. This video is a giveaway video. Today I'm going to show you how to build your own $20 audio streamer and Bluetooth receiver. And then I'm going to give away a Raspberry Pi Zero 2W. The Pi Zero 2W is an amazing device. It's cheap to buy, cheap to run, versatile, and is so small it can be easily tucked away out of sight. Today I'll be showing you an audio streamer, but there are many more uses. At some point I may do a walkthrough of a retro gaming solution. I've also been using a Raspberry Pi 1, which is very old. I've been using that as a network level ad blocker for years and it runs flawlessly. So I might also do a run through of that. The specs are very limited, which limits the costs, but also some of the use cases. For example, emulation is going to be difficult on this device because it's a lot slower. Processing power RAM is low, but it's enough for most use cases, such as music streamers. It only has a 2.4 GHz wireless chip, which is slower than 5 GHz, but you can always use an adapter and plug in a LAN cable if you need more speed. Later on in the video you'll see how using only a 2.4 GHz wireless connection limits the speed of scanning of music files. The LED only indicates SD card access. It does not indicate power, and it's inverted, meaning when the light is on, the SD card is not being accessed and the system is idle. When the light is off, then the SD card is being accessed. And they've obviously done this to save cost. They only want to use one LED. MoOde has a lot of features. You can use it as an audio streamer. You can play music from a local attached drive, or as we're going to do in this video, you can stream music from a network drive. You can also stream music from Spotify or YouTube Music or Deezer, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. Everything in black is what I'll be doing in this video, and grey I won't cover. You can also play music from a phone to the configured output device, and you can also go the other way and play music from the configured audio source to a Bluetooth speaker. MoOde also allows you to do multi-room sync. However, MoOde uses dedicated senders and receivers, so you lose a device. So for example, if you have 2 rooms, you need 3 devices. 1 device is the sender and 2 devices to receive, 1 in each room. So for multi-room sync, I would recommend Pi-Core Player. There are many more features. Before we get into it, this is the last video in a series. I've made a few related videos on audio. First I did an extensive walkthrough of Pi-Core Player. Pi-Core Player is very complex, so I tried to simplify it and explain it to you a little bit. Next, I reviewed and gave away some audio hats to provide a little bit better audio quality. Then I walked through using Volumio to convert an old PC into an audio streamer and then gave that away as well. Now I'm going to do a walkthrough of how to set up MoOde Audio on a Pi Zero 2W and give it away. Alright, let's get into it. So we'll need a few things. You need a Raspberry Pi. I use a Zero 2W, but you can use any. I recommend using a Raspberry Pi 2 or above. You'll need a micro USB OTG dongle. I use a slim one so it looks a little bit nicer. You'll need an SD card and the Raspberry Pi imager. I'll put a link on screen for that. You'll need a NAS drive which holds your music collection. I'm not going to run through that in this video. It's a whole separate video. You should be able to find lots of walkthroughs for that on YouTube. You need a digital to analog converter and an amp. For the DAC I use the $80 SMSL SU1, but SMSL also have a cheaper PS100 which is about $30. I'm using a Class B or analog amplifier which cost about $50. You can also use a Class D or a digital amplifier that has a USB in and an onboard DAC, and that could save you buying a separate DAC. You'll also need a Bluetooth speaker if you'd like to use that as the output device. We'll be doing a lot. First we'll image an SD card with MoOde. When imaging it, we'll set which Wi-Fi network we want the Raspberry Pi to connect to. Then we'll insert that SD card into the Raspberry Pi and then we'll boot it. When it boots, it will connect automatically to Wi-Fi because we set it when we imaged the SD card. We'll then connect to the Raspberry Pi via the browser, and then we'll begin to configure MoOde. We'll start by setting up audio to output to the amp via a USB DAC. After that, we'll configure the NAS as a music source. Then I'll show you around the UI on a PC and on a phone. After this, I'll show you how to use MoOde as a Bluetooth receiver to play music from a phone to the amplifier speaker via MoOde. Then we'll forget about the amplifier and speakers, and we'll use a phone as a remote control to play back music from our NAS to a Bluetooth speaker via MoOde. Okay, let's start with imaging the SD card, and for that we're going to use the Raspberry Pi Imager tool. I'll put the download link in the description and on the screen for you. Let's start with choosing the device, which is the Pi02W. The operating system, you can move down to Media Player OS and then choose MoOde Audio Player, and 9.3.3 is the latest at the time of recording. And then I'll choose the SD card to image. Now when I hit next, we're going to be prompted if we would like to apply some settings. Now we do need to apply settings. In the MoOde installation instructions, you need to enable SSH. Now the first time that I installed MoOde, I didn't apply any custom OS settings and I had a lot of problems. MoOde was really unreliable and I couldn't log in. Sometimes the settings wouldn't save and I couldn't get it working. After reading further, I realized that I need to enable SSH for it to function correctly. I don't know why this is required. It's a bit silly, but we're going to do that now. So let's start with, I'd like to set the host name to rw.local. The username we'll set to test. The password will make it very secure. Password. The SSID, the LAN configuration I will enter now. And that's because the Pi02W has a wireless card and I don't want to have to set it up with a LAN cable. If you go to services, you need to make sure enable SSH is checked. Hit save, and then we can hit yes. This is just a warning to tell you you're going to clear all the data on the device. I'll hit yes, and I should be prompted for a password. Here we go. I'm prompted for a password. And now we just wait for the process to finish. Okay, and it's finished. You can hit continue and the SD card is now ready for the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so let's boot up the Raspberry Pi for the first time. Now you can see here I've got this little adapter which plugs in to the OTG port on the Raspberry Pi Zero. Now I'll put the SD card in and then I'll plug in the power. Now as it boots, I can explain a little bit about the LED. The Pi02W does not have a dedicated power LED like some of the other Raspberry Pis. The LED is inverted. The LED is an activity LED that indicates the SD card is being accessed, but it's also used a little bit to show power. So the way it works is when the LED is off, then the SD card is being accessed, and when the LED is on, there is no activity. Now if you recall, when we imaged the SD card, we set the host name to rw.local. So let's hope it's booted. Okay, let's try again. This is weird. Oh yeah. That's right, it's not secured. Okay, here we are. So we will dismiss this. Now let's configure the USB audio. So I'll close that. If we come up here and we go to configure and we click on audio, and you'll see here in output device only HDMI is listed. So I've plugged it in and I haven't turned it on, and you can see I'll scan and still only HDMI will be listed. Now I'll turn it on. So now the DAC is on. The DAC is on, I think, at the optical source, so I still won't see it after I scan. Yeah, so there, it's not there. I ran into that problem many times before I figured it out. So you have to set the source to USB and then scan, and I'll show you that now. So now if we scan, we should see it, and there it is. So SMSML USB audio. And every time you change a setting, you have to wait for it to reconnect. It's pretty annoying. Okay, now I'm using this with an amplifier, so I'm going to set the volume type to fixed dB, which sets only fixed volume, so that you can use the amplifier to control the volume. And from there, we should be able to get audio. So if I go home, come back here, and we'll try this left channel test, left-right channel test.
This is my voice on the left. This is my voice on the left-hand side. This is my voice on the left. This is my voice on the right. This is my voice on the right-hand side.
So you can see it works fine. And what I'll do now is I'll set up the music source. On my NAS drive I have my music, so I'll go and set that up. So if you go here into configure again, and then if you go into library, and then you have to click on, I'm doing a NAS source, so I'll hit create, and I'm going to edit the path manually. So I'm going to blur some of this out because it's got my name in the path. Okay, that's the path. Now I need to use the user ID. I use a read-only account. And you can just call this whatever you want. NAS music, for example. And then I'm going to come back up here and hit save. There you go. So you can see now that it's connected with the tick and a mount monitor. I guess that monitors, yeah, that checks if the storage disconnects and then it reconnects you. And then we need to scroll down here and hit regenerate and let the system scan all of the music files. And now we have to wait a long time. So we need to stay on this screen until this disappears. So you can go make yourself a long cup of tea. Maybe I'll put the time up somewhere on the screen as well so we can watch it. Okay, so that took quite a long time, 2 hours, and that's because it's running over the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, which is a little bit slower than 5 gigahertz. Just to let you know, I've got about 2,000 albums, full of music. So if you have a smaller collection, it should be a lot quicker than that. I'm going to close the window now. I'll go back home. So this is the layout here. You've got here, this is the album art, and then you've got some details about the file that's playing. This is the progress indicator, some buttons, and this is for volume. It's grayed out now because I've got it fixed because I'm controlling that on my amplifier. And on the left, this is the track queue. Now, in order to search for the music that you have, that we've just set up on the NAS, you click on the album art, and then that brings you up this view. So first you can, if you want, you can look at the folder view. So you run down here, you hit folder, and then you can click on NAS, and then this is the NAS drive that we've set up. So then you can see it's got all of the folders in the NAS. If we go back up here though, we're going to actually use the tag view is the most useful. And you can see here you can, for example, filter on genre. So you can see I've got 2 artists and then 2 albums in that genre. Yeah, and then there's a lot more different genres you can look at. You can run a search here, and that will narrow down the filters on the right. So for example, if I want to look for Snoop Dogg, I can type in Snoop, hit enter. And you can see there's a bunch here. If I want Snoop Dogg, and then that will show me all of the albums that are tagged which has Snoop Dogg in. You can also search for, so for example, you can search for an album. So if I want to look for a Sublime album, you can see here 40 Ounce to Freedom, this is the one I was looking at, and I can click it, and then you've got all of the music, the tracks down below. And one thing that you'll notice, it's quite annoying with the search functionality. Sometimes when you go back up to the library, the text is gone and you can't actually search again, and it's stuck. The filter over here shows the last search you did, and in order to clear that, you go up here and click on this button here, and then it will bring back, it will clear all the filters so that you can see everything again. That really annoyed me. That took me months before I figured that out. And then of course the other way you can do it is you can also just search by album, and then that will just list all of the albums, and then you can play one of the albums. You can play it, or you can click on it, so you can, for example, play it from there, or you can click on it and it will list all of the tracks below. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll go back to the now playing screen, and I will actually queue something up for my telephone, and I'll record my screen on the telephone. Okay, so here I am on my phone, and we'll go to the player. Now you can see here it's the same UI, except it's just a little bit more crammed. If I hit play,
this is my voice coming from both left and right. This is my voice in the center.
Then you can hear it play And you can also see that on the web over here, the progress bar continues. Now, what you can also do is search, for example, the same way that you search for anything else. The genres is not there, which is great. Personally, I don't like it, but you can do your searches. So if we look for Snoop again, you can see that all of the Snoop search pops up here. I can find Snoop again, and it's the same albums over there. Since MoOde has no app, it gets really annoying to enter in the URL or IP address every time. Instead, you can add a browser shortcut to your home screen. This is how to do it. So let's open the browser. I'm going to enter the address. There we go. I don't know what this error is. But anyway, let's do it. So you open up the menu up the top here, and then add shortcut, add to home screen, and then it's over here on the home screen. So you can just, every time you can just open it up, and it will open straight to the MoOde player. So now we're going to set this up as a Bluetooth receiver. So what we're going to do is I'm going to connect my phone to the Raspberry Pi via Bluetooth, and then I'm going to play music from my phone, and it will be played over the speakers that the Raspberry Pi is connected to. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to go into Configure and into Audio. Into Renderers. And then I'm going to turn Bluetooth on. And then you can see here the name RW Bluetooth, and that's what I can connect my phone to. I go into Bluetooth settings. Somewhere in that list. Oh, there it is, RW Bluetooth. So I'm going to pair that. Okay, I'm paired. Now I'll open something here, and I'm going to look for something I know has no royalties. So this is something which I downloaded from YouTube Studio. So I'll just play a song. And you can hear it coming out of the speakers now. Okay, and I'll stop that. So the last thing I want to show you now is the other way around. So I want to show you connecting the Raspberry Pi 2 to a Bluetooth speaker and then playing music from my network. This is pretty useful if you have friends around, for example, and you'd like them to control the music playback via the interface, and you'd like to play it on a Bluetooth speaker, and it saves everyone fighting over the Bluetooth speaker. So I've already turned on Bluetooth here. Now what you notice if I go to audio, is that there's nothing listed under the output device, and that's because I haven't paired the speaker. So let's go back to Renderer and we'll pair the speaker. So what you need to do is open the options here, and then you need to put the Bluetooth speaker into pairing mode. Then we're going to scan it. And I'll also turn the volume down on the amplifier just to prove that it's coming out of the Bluetooth speaker. Okay, why is it not scanning? Let's go back. Oh, it's still loading, okay. So JBL Charge 3, this is the one we want. Pair. And then let's connect. You need to switch from local audio to Bluetooth speaker. And now if you go back to audio, you'll see that the output device is grayed out. This isn't ideal. I'd prefer to be able to select Bluetooth audio from here. It's a bit of a small UI issue. And so now if I go and play some music, let's search for that royalty-free song. So let's play it. And now, okay, the volume's on 0. So the volume can be set in 2 places, on the speaker and also in MoOde. So I'll turn the volume on the speaker up to full. So now it's full, and I also need to increase the volume here. And that's how you can play back local music from a NAS on your Bluetooth speaker. The important bit. Watch the video from start to finish. Subscribe to the channel. Like and leave a comment. I like feedback, whether it be good or bad, or perhaps you want to let me know what you'd like to see in a future video. I'll use a random comment selector and make a video announcing the winner in 3 to 4 weeks, or 150 subscribers, whichever is first. If I get to 200 subscribers within that 3 to 4 weeks, I'll give away 2 Raspberry Pis. I'll verify the actual winner before sending it. Remember, there are scammers for these giveaways. I won't ask you for any money, and I will pay for postage. If you're being asked for money, then it's someone trying to scam you. This is the last video in a series. Next, I'll review and give away a USB adapter that protects your phone from overcharging, which should extend your phone's battery life. This review will take some time because it is a little bit more complicated than I first thought. I'm also thinking of doing some privacy related walkthroughs, so comment below if you'd like me to do that. I'm open to ideas on tech how-tos or something else, so just comment below and I'll see if I get around to it. If you got something out of this video, please like and subscribe, because the more the channel grows, the bigger the giveaways will become. Thanks for watching.